Hello everybody, Flick here. It's time for yet another Let's Look At, and today we're taking a look at Picross Touch. I've always pronounced it Picross. I don't know if the correct pronunciation is Picross. It may be, I'm not sure where its origins lie in terms of language. I'm going to be calling it Picross. If that annoys you, too bad. That's assuming you are familiar with what it is. Also, the game I'm covering today does not have any music. There is a reason for that, I'll go into a second. So, in order to not have total silence in the background besides some sound effects, I've got Beethoven's Ninth Symphony playing, so I hope you don't mind that. It'll be mostly very, very quiet, but it's there. It won't be distracting. The reason I'm covering this is it's kind of like a category of game I really like that doesn't really lend itself well to doing videos on it. But thankfully, when you're doing a first impression series, it's not really about entertainment. It's about showing you something that you might like. And Picross is something I've enjoyed for many years at this point. Played it on the DS, the 3DS, phones, iPad. It's a simple premise puzzle game where you make... It's also known as paint by numbers and... there's a third term, but I've forgotten what it is. You make pictures by solving a number puzzle, essentially. There's also like Picross 3D. I must admit I don't like that iteration. I much prefer it was in 2D. And what you have here... I forgot to mention this is by Jay Gallant. And he has a company called Jay Gallant Games. And this is entirely free on Steam. It's one of the two Picross games on Steam. The other one has a much prettier aesthetic, but it costs money, and it doesn't have as many puzzles. So I chose to cover this one because it's free. It's a very good introduction to Picross if you've never tried it before. And it's got 366 levels, so you're not going to run out anytime soon. I have been playing it a little bit. I have solved 21 of the 57 5x5 puzzles, 13 of the 10x10, and 12 of the 15x15. There is many of them, and I've done the tutorial as well. We'll start with the 5x5 just to show you here. There's a few pages worth, or a couple pages worth. And, you know, at 5x5, if you're at all familiar with Picross, it's super, super easy. So let's just jump in. So this is what a Picross puzzle looks like. And the goal is to work out, based on the numbers here, I guess it's a bit like Minesweeper in that sense. It's where there should be pictures and where there shouldn't. So if you have a 3 here, that means somewhere on this line of 5, 3 of these squares do actually have a picture or form part of the picture, and they have to be touching. So it couldn't be like, I'm right clicking, which means that there shouldn't be one there, but this is just to demonstrate without costing me a penalty. It can't be like that. That would count as 1, 1, 1, not 3. But if it was like that, that counts as 3. So you get used to inferring where blocks are likely to be, and that helps you. For example, 1, 1, 1, it can only be 1 space 1 space 1, because there's no other way for that combination to fit in this many squares. So it goes like that. And we can put those X's in just to keep us right. We also know that this column only has 2 squares in it. So it has to either be this one or this one. So we can infer that those 2 are X's. Pretty simply. 3s means that the middle is definitely a square, so that rules out that one and finishes that row. It starts getting a little bit more complex now, but this column and this column are 1 plus 2. So the 1 has to be here and here. Why? Because if it was here, there wouldn't be a space before the 2, because you can't have adjacent, because if you had no space, that would be a 3, not a 1 plus a 2. I might not be explaining this well. It honestly is simple, so if I'm explaining it in a manner which is coming across as complicated or convoluted, it honestly isn't. It's so simple, and as a result, very addictive. So now we also know that this square is safe, and we know that this one has 2, so we go like that. And now we also know that this one has to be there because it can't fit there. So again, we are just, through process of elimination, working out where this puzzle goes. And there you are. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Some kind of face, I guess? Possibly. And this one here... Well, there's 4 here and 4 here that have to be used. There's also 2 here and 2 here. Well, the 2 here is obvious. It has to be that because it's the only way they'll fit. We now know that these are definitely safe. And that rules that out. That one has to be occupied as well. That goes like that. That goes like that. Which in turn means that's correct. And there we have it. Simple, simple stuff, which is obviously why there's then more complicated ones. So if we were to jump into some of these, I skipped some of the early ones because I wanted to get challenged, but let's go to number 5 and see here. So again, the board's a bit bigger, but we know some stuff immediately. This is a 10 by 10, so that has to be right, and that has to be right. And from these, we've already filled in these 2 rows, columns rather, so we know all those can't be any part of the picture. And we know this only has 7 in them, so we can go like that, and that rules that out. So it's pretty simple stuff to start with. Let's see what else we can infer here. 1 at the bottom here, so that rules that out, that out, that out, that out. Those get joined up for 7. There's 2, and there's another 7. I'm right clicking to do an X on a square that I know isn't part of the picture incidentally, and left clicking when I know I'm correct. Now the game will not actually tell you when you've got something wrong. You'll just have to work it out for yourself when you realise, oh hang on, this isn't finishing properly. Some Picross games will give you penalties and they'll tell you you've done something wrong. I kind of prefer it when they don't. This has to be 3, this has to be 2, in turn rules that out. This has to be the 2. And let's see here, that has to be the 2. And that's that ruled out, so that's the 1, the 3, like that. I guess, it's supposed to be a TV. The more squares that are involved in the Picross puzzle, the better the quality of the finished picture is. Like you can tell it's scissors, that's a dog, a computer chip I guess, Jack in the Box maybe, a house, a moon, you know, that kind of stuff. Let's have a look at this one. So this one's a bit more complicated because it has no set 10 number, but you can infer from the columns that have 9 in them that most of those 9 columns are actually used, so it's 5 and 5. The way I usually do it, and this helps more so when there's bigger numbers, like 25 by 25 squares. That isn't in this game, but some Picross games go that high. I would start here and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it starts there, then start from the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those squares have to be involved. I don't know whether the final square is that one or that one, but I know those ones have to be involved. So you can say the same for that one, you can say the same for that one. And again, it applies to these as well. I don't know which of the final blocks are used, but I know enough to infer that those are correct. I can also infer that those are wrong, because 5 can only go up to there, and there's only 5 in this row. And that has helped us here, because we know now that those are correct, like so. And because this has 5 in it, it can't obviously start there, because there's only space for 1, so that's wrong. We can join those up, which is 6, there's 7, and that finishes that row. And again, we know now that that's wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, we still don't know whether that one or that one is correct, but we can do these ones, which in turn has ruled out those, ruled out that. I imagine, looking upon this, most of you will be thinking, how is this entertaining? And I don't know, it just is. It's the same kind of thing, like, I don't understand why people find Sudoku entertaining. It just isn't for me. But Picross, give me that and I'm happy. I can lose hours just mucking around in Picross. Not necessarily this one. Again, this is very clearly a toilet we're making. It's very basic, but it's good enough as an introduction. I can count. There we go. And now we know that's right, and now we know those are obviously not there. And it starts there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Easy enough. Actually, maybe it looked like a toilet. Now I think it's a pram. I'm not sure though. But we know that's right, we know that's right, and then that, and that, and that. It's more like a pie chart actually, but you've got to admit, for a while there, it looked like a toilet. Let's jump into the 15 by 15. This is the hardest variety that is on offer in this particular game, but as I said, depending on the Picross game you go for, they can go, I think the biggest I've seen is 25 by 25, and they are very, very difficult, unless you use a hint or something, depending on the game. Like some Picross games offer you hints at the start, if you want them, but for a time penalty. So let's see what we can do with this one. Well, using the same rules we learned last time, we know that... Oh, wait, no we didn't. I miscounted. I was going to say we know for sure that many things are filled, but I was forgetting we're dealing with 15 now. So we know, roughly speaking, that many are filled. Because if you count from this direction, that's 10, 11, 12, 13. So actually, we can go that far with it. We don't know anything else beyond that though. So a good thing to look for is what adds up to, well, when you add on spaces, how many squares there are. So 10 plus 4 10 would take us to there, a space, and then 4. There's no other way for those numbers to fit this column. So it has to be 10 space 4, like that. Again. 10 space 4. There is no other way for those numbers to combine here. So now we know that's correct. 5 plus 5, that's a bit more difficult to deal with. We know that there's 9 here, and those have to be connected, so that gives us a lot to work with here. Just do all of this, all of that. And that gives us a lot more to work with from this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I don't know which side is going to have the final 5, so we can't do that yet. But it still means we can work with this. We know that's correct, which in turn rules those out. And there we go, that finishes that, which in turn rules those out. And that actually finishes the top row for us entirely. It looks like it's going to be a pagoda. I would have to... like, also, seeing the picture form can give you a hint where a number is likely to be. Not necessarily always correct, but it can help you out. So let's see. Let's assume, this might or might not be part of the picture, so let's assume that it is, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We know that much is correct. And we also know all these are correct because they have to link in. And given that this is a 3 space 8, it has to be like this, because otherwise it won't count. 5, 6, 7, 8. We know this is a 1, we know this is a 1, and we know this is a 4 right here. Which in turn lets us work with this. So we're getting there. Actually, maybe it's not a pagoda. It's forming in a shape I wasn't expecting. So maybe I was wrong about that. Let's see what it becomes. What else can we do here? Let's see. We know that this has to be 2, so that in turn gives us a bit more information here. Let's roll those out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's that 6 done entirely. And that helped us finish that. Now that has to be the final block of that 5 because it doesn't add up any other way. So we know that is correct. Is this meant to be a car? I'm still not sure about this one actually. Not at all. We know those are incorrect. So let's get rid of them. We know that's a 1, so that's that done. In turn, that has finished that row for us. In fact, this row is finished too. We're almost there. Again, it gets a bit tougher. We know this is correct, so that's done there. And... I would assume that is not a space and it mirrors itself over here, but I don't know for sure, so I'm not doing it yet just in case. Let's try and work out something we know to be true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We know these to be true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We know those to be true as well. The music's kicking in. It's getting the adrenaline going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know those are correct. We know those have to link up. We also know this space is there, so that gives us the information we need to finish this row down here. How many of you are bored right now, and how many of you are interested? Or if it looks like I'm doing something astonishing, it's really not that hard. Although keep in mind I am talking. Oh, that is not correct. Hang on a second here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's all of them. There we go. I was miscounting slightly. We know all these are not fillable. This could be here. In fact, it has to be here because it's the only way this links up with that. So that's done. Oh, it's a sheep! Or a cow, or a Taurus, if you want to go Pokemon. So that must mean that this square is used. I really shouldn't know that, but I'm basing it on, you know, what's been filled in and what isn't. So, sure, let's do that. And then we know for a fact this one is used, which in turn means all those are used, and all those. That's used as well. So yeah, it's a sheep. So let's assume it's mirrored and just speed things along here. That means that's used. That has to be used there. Actually, I'm not sure which one is used up here. Let's see if we can work that out for ourselves. That's blocked off, which means that's blocked off. This is used up. Let's see. That has to be blocked off, which means that's blocked off. That's blocked off. There we are. It is indeed a sheep. So I didn't expect this to be a very long video because I know not most people will be interested in this, especially because it's a very niche type of puzzle game. I highly recommend it though, and it's free and it's filled with puzzles. It's a fantastic introduction. There is a flashier looking Picross game I've not tried yet on Steam. It costs £5 something. I can't vouch for that, but I can vouch for this one. I like it. Let's very quickly do puzzle number 5. I'll try and do it as fast as I can. It looks like it's giving us an easy start here. So I'll see. Some games actually do have time attacks where you're supposed to do it as fast as possible, hence the penalties if you do something wrong. One I play on my iPad does that. So let's see. If it starts you with a lot of things you can fill in, it usually means it's pretty easy, but this one looks like it might get difficult in the middle because it's not giving me a lot of information about that. It could just be a TV or something, I guess. So it's given me this much information, and now I have to do something with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So because of these two, I know these two are correct. But where does that leave us? Oh, in fact, for this row, we can do the same thing. Oop, not that one, though. Not yet, anyway. I'm not sure. Now it's becoming a little bit more difficult. We just have to work out... Well, these all have 5 in them, so that means they can't go past this point. So we can rule those squares out. It's as much about the squares you rule out as the ones you know are correct. That's the important part to remember. 1, 2, 3, space. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, space. Alright, so I'm still not 100% on where that 3 would be. I believe... Well, actually, yes, for sure this one is used because it's the only way that fits in. Same with this. I think this might be a robot face. And that gives us this information. Gives us that. Gives us that. Let's assume that's the same then. Roll those out. That means those have to be used. Oh, I don't know if it's a robot face, but it's a something face. And let's see. Those have to be used. Done and done. Those are done. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I pressed the wrong one. It's Creeper Face from Minecraft. That's what it was. That is going to do it. Oh, also I'd just like to point out, frog. Picross Touch doesn't have any music. That was just me playing some royalty-free orchestral stuff in the background. I recommend it. It's free. 366 levels. I'll link to it in the Steam Store page in the description box below. It's sitting on overwhelmingly positive. It's fantastic as far as free games go. I encourage you to check it out. Thanks for watching, and ta-ta for now.